Yeah, Pablo Torre of ESPN has been on the money with reporting about Bill Belichick in North Carolina, and Torre makes the case that Belichick might not be the head coach at North Carolina by the time they kick off their very first game next season against TCU, a Big 12 team. And this is completely valid. You have a coach that is in his 70s with a girlfriend who is my age. I'm 24, who is my age. And if that's not even, if you don't even have an issue with that, fine. We'll put that in a vacuum. And then we'll say, wait a second, no matter how old the girlfriend or wife is, she's taking over the program, the PR, the life of the head coach, and a black spot. She's become a black spot PR-wise on what this university is trying to do in building its football program. So we've heard the rumors that North Carolina wants to go to the Big Ten or wants to go to the SEC. There may be mutual interest there. They could be the big domino to fall alongside Notre Dame in expansion instead of Clemson and Florida State. The last thing you want is a nightmare at the top. You see a lot of times. Tom Herman's a great example of this. Legendary NFL coach decides to go to college football for a second chance. You saw it out of Nick Saban, who's a legendary college coach, goes to the NFL. You see guys change levels, and pretty typically, you're going to struggle to figure it out. Not only will Bill Belichick probably struggle to figure it out, he also now has, in essence, his PR manager in his camp screaming at America, this is an embarrassment. This is a parade. This is a circus. This is something that is unstable. And for North Carolina, after June 1st, the buyout becomes $1 million. For Bill Belichick, after June 1st, they wrote this contract in a way that almost sounded like Bill Belichick wouldn't be there for the first game of 2025 by saying, $1 million. This is such an experiment. It might not work out in the first 6 months to the point where we say, you know what? You leave. Or Belichick says, you know what? I'm leaving. That dollar figure is what makes me confident, especially based on Pablo Torre of ESPN, his reporting that Belichick's future in North Carolina is very unstable and something that's very in question. The CBS interview was kind of the nail in the proverbial coffin as far as his reputation goes currently in college football, which that's a very short-lived reputation. He just got to this sport. So I would not be surprised. I want to put it on everyone's radar at this point. You should not be shocked if he is not on the sidelines for the first game for North Carolina, and maybe we look back at this and say, you never should have dated that 24-year-old that you won't tell the world how you met. You never should have done that because that was the beginning of the end of your football career, and now your 7 Super Bowl rings, 6 Super Bowl rings have all been stripped away from being the headline of your life. Now it's that relationship decision you made that ruined how the country views you and your legacy.
What was the point of this for Belichick? Was it to try and work a year and then get back to the NFL? Was it just to try and do something new? These guys can't give up the itch to coach. Did he? I mean, what was the best case scenario here? You know, North Carolina has was it nepotism? Like I'll do an okay job. I'll go 9-3 and then get my son a job here. Oh, maybe the answer is all of the above. Like what was the point of this for Belichick? A guy who, this wasn't. I don't know, John Gruden, who I love and who's doing great stuff with Barstool and won a championship here in Tampa. This wasn't John Gruden like trying to resurrect his career. Bill Belichick didn't need this. This would be like Phil Jackson coming and coaching a college. Like Phil Jackson doesn't need this, man. How many titles does this guy have? To 13 as a player and coach? Like nobody questions how good Phil Jackson is, right? Like he's off in the limelight. He's doing his own thing. Like there's no big deal. Why did he even do this?
Yeah, this is pointless. This is Pete Carroll going back to Las Vegas. Not pointless. He still has the itch to coach, sees an organization that he could lead for the next few years, help rebuild for the next few years. And Pete Carroll is one of the more level-headed figures the NFL has had as a head man here recently. And for Belichick, look, you've got the rings, you've got the reputation, you go the Lane Kiffin route and get a girlfriend who's 20 years your junior or 50 years your junior, and then just ride off into the sunset and kind of make it a joke and a funny thing. That's what Kiffin did, and nobody really complains about it. Belichick does it, and then he makes it his whole thing, his whole personality, his whole I am handcuffed to this woman that's 50 years younger than I am. And so not only is he making a wild decision to change to college football where he has no real strong tie to he doesn't need to revive North Carolina. There's not valor in this. He doesn't need the money. He's got an itch for coaching. He mentioned when he stopped at the NFL, he wasn't ready when he left New England to just give it up. Robert Kraft and him had that rocky relationship, and he wants to still coach and be on the sidelines. But hey, Jerry Jones, the Dallas Cowboys, they could have been an option. The Jacksonville Jaguars, who hired Tom Coughlin, they could have been an option. Nope. He jumps the gun, decides in the offseason, I'll go to North Carolina. very likely for exactly what you said, and that's to give his son a future in football as a head coach, because it's so tough. You see it often where kids of legendary coaches that get into the profession struggle to find their footing because they're always going to have that name tied to them and the expectation tied to them. And that gets really hairy pretty. Now, it's worked out every now and then. It's worked out a couple of times, but by and large, it's just tough to find a footing. And I'm not sure if anybody, especially hearing the drama that came out of New England, would hire Belichick's son at this point. So he's looking out for his kid's future, maybe not the future of himself, and instead, based on personal decisions that have nothing to do with football and a legendary football career, he has put himself, his camp, his son, North Carolina, in a terrible spot. If I'm a UNC fan right now, my head's in my hands. You hired a circus. You took a risk on a circus, and maybe it pays off. So many people said, hey, look, Mike Leach is a PR wacko, and Lane Kiffin is a PR nightmare. Are you sure? And you look at what Indiana, Bobby Knight did. He's a PR nightmare. All three for kind of different reasons. Do we risk hiring them? Yeah. Because you know they're going to win. You're confident they're going to have success at your university and build on what you can do. You hire Bill Belichick to be a PR nightmare. He was fired from the NFL because he couldn't win at the end of his career without Tom Brady, and he's not coached with success at the collegiate level. And now we're just going to take a chance on that, and it's blowing up in your face. If I'm a UNC fan, I have no faith in what the Tar Heels are going to do this fall.
What's the best case scenario here? We just don't hear about, but he doesn't say another word in the media for the rest of the summer, and then they just get to the season and winning fixes everything.
I would put, I would put $1,000 right now confidently that Belichick will not last 2 years at North Carolina, two full calendar years at North Carolina. There's just no chance. So I think your best case scenario, honestly, if you want to move on, you need to move on, is Belichick not walking the sidelines that first game. You tried. You did the experiment. It's become such a sore on your university and what you're trying. And now you want to build your brand to expand elsewhere. And you thought you were being serious about football by hiring Belichick. To me, and it might sound unpopular, there isn't a way he coaches 2 full seasons there and then stays for a third. That's where I'd put the grand. And so at that point, man, just rip the Band-Aid before you're begging for a Tom Herman situation. Just rip the Band-Aid when you kind of know now what the end is going to be. It's $1 million. Pay that $1 million and go hire. You mentioned Tim Elko. Hire that kind of guy who is working at a job, winning games at a level where, hey, man, go hire a guy at the group of 6 level who's having great success, or at a smaller school like a Duke, like Elko was having great success, and go under the radar for a bit. You're just going to need to keep out of the PR limelight. You could argue, you look at some of the famous scandals in college football, whether it be Baylor or even Petrino at Arkansas. Their next hire wasn't Bill Belichick. It wasn't flash. It was, hey, let's go get Matt Rule from Temple. Let's go get Brett Bielema from Wisconsin, who they've just been quiet. They've won a lot of games and been quiet. If you're North Carolina, I think your best case scenario is to move on without Belichick. If you're Bill Belichick, I think your best case scenario is to move on without your girlfriend.
Before I can hear everybody run in the comments, Mike Elko at A&M, before everybody corrects Drake, I'll do it here so the comments.
Tim Elko?
So the comments don't have to.
Son. I used to work around Mike's son. That may be what it is.
Yeah, Elko would be. I don't know if you're pulling him from A&M or not, but Summerall at Tulane, there are options out there now. I don't know. What's so tough about this is we're in mid-May, and I don't know if anybody's leaving at this point for North Carolina. This isn't the LSU job. This isn't Notre Dame or Florida State or some top 15 job in all of college football. Florida. This is North Carolina, and so they've really put themselves in a tough spot because. Would Summerall leave? Would Tulane's coach leave right now? Other places try to get him this year. I don't know who you're pulling, so it's almost darned if you do, darned if you don't. You might as well just keep him, I guess, and see how it works out. and hope he leaves after next year so that you can get somebody else. But man, could you imagine your portal opening right now for 30 days? They already took 51 guys, didn't they? Isn't that the number? This is not a good situation for North Carolina one way or the other. Now, again, a best case scenario, we don't hear from Belichick again for the rest of the summer. They get into the season, they win a lot of games, winning fixes everything. Does that exist? Yes. But my gosh, if they lose a couple games early, do they play TCU to start the year or somebody
TCU
really good
to start the year?
Yeah.
Play
TCU to start the year. They got Clemson early. I mean, you go 0-2 in those games, and their ACC schedule the rest of the way. They don't play Florida State. They don't play Miami. They don't play us. There's some other good. They've got it pretty made in the shade as far as the schedule goes. But with the dysfunction outside the locker room, what does it look like inside? We'll find out for sure. Just not a great situation for UNC at all. Drake, where can people follow you? Where can they find your work?
Yeah, at Drake C. Toll on Twitter, at LO Big 12 on the same app, and wherever you find your podcast with Locked On Big 12 and YouTube.
Awesome. Thanks, buddy.
Anytime.